In this video, I'm going to walk you through how you can become a bestseller on Amazon by explaining exactly what I did. I'll share everything that I did to become a bestseller, and you'll be able to replicate it exactly.
This video is brought to you by EpiPies Academy.
And on top of that, you'll also get strategies for how to launch your book. Because earlier, I had two different videos, how to become a bestseller and how to launch your book. But a lot of those strategies are overlapping. They're the same strategies because really what you want to do is make a lot of sales in a short amount of time. So instead of having you watch two videos with a lot of the same content, which will make it boring for you, I actually combined it all in this one video. So really, this is a video of what I did to become a bestseller, what you can do to become a bestseller, and how to launch your book. And at times in this video, if there's a strategy specifically for launching, I'll mention it. So what you want in both situations, when you launch or when you're generating a bestseller status, you're after three things: sales revenue, obviously, bestseller status, and SEO. And the bestseller status is a few things. It's that little badge on Amazon that says bestseller that makes your listing stand out and gets you a little bit more attention and more sales. But it's also something for the rest of your career. You'll be able to say, I'm a best-selling author. And that's a really strong brand building piece, resume building piece. It's impressive. That's one of the impressive things you can have. And also, the third thing we want is Amazon SEO. We want the boost in sales from all this activity to propel and shoot our book up the rankings for the keywords that we chose for SEO, right? Those three things are what we want to accomplish during all of this. And both when you're launching your book or you're creating a strategy for, when you're going to have your campaign to become a bestseller, you basically just pick a date 15 to 60 days ahead of time so you can plan everything. That will give you plenty of time to put all the pieces in place. Because if you were to do it, let's say tomorrow, a lot of things will be unorganized, random, and you just wouldn't get the results. Planning is always good. Also, if you're launching your book, having that extra time will give you time to perfect your author bio, headshot image, and the cover of your book. For the cover of your book, you can have multiple designers on Fiverr.com or other freelancing sites try to create covers for you, and you can pick which ones, and you can go through multiple iterations and pick different elements from different designs that you like and ultimately come up with a great cover, because the book cover is really important. Most first-time authors underestimate how important the covers are, and including myself. When I first started, I didn't think the covers are that important, but people shop visually. And your book has to stand out on Amazon. It's always next to other books. And if your cover is more attractive, that's a huge win. And that's a long-term win. Every day, the better covers are getting more attention. And the author picture and bio is something you'll use in three places. Optionally, the back cover of your book. On your Amazon listing, an attractive bio and photo will generate more sales and give you more authority. And also, if at any time you get any mentions by bloggers or journalists or anybody who talks about you, they'll be able to reuse that nice, professional-looking headshot of yours and bio. So that's something you can do before all this happens. In my case, I built up a blog, a YouTube channel with traffic, but you don't have to. Because even though I had these extra resources, don't worry about it. You can do this without any traffic, because think of, let's say, my YouTube channel. What is it really? It's just like a micro influencer that you can hire for like $50 or something, right? Because at that time when I was launching, my YouTube channel wasn't that big. My marketing channels, they just weren't that big. They felt big at that time, but they weren't. So really, to replicate having my YouTube channel, just hire a YouTuber to promote you. As long as they're in your niche and they look like they have an engaged audience, you can approach them and reach out to them and ask them, hey, can you promote me? I'm having a launch, or I'm having a big marketing push on such and such day. Can I hire you to create a video, to help me boost sales? Some of them will do it for free if they love what your book is about. Most of the time, they will want to get paid. When they do it for free, that's called publicity, basically meaning that your book generated attention on its own merit. And people are talking about it because of the book itself, because it's interesting, because it's compelling, it's something great in there. If they don't see it that way, of course you see it that way, you think that the book is great. But if those bloggers or YouTubers, if they don't see it that way, that's the test. If they don't see it that way, then you can pay them. If they aren't gigantic influencers, they are relatively cheap to hire for promotion. If they give you an expensive price, you just move on to the next influencers and the next influencers. There's so many of them. A lot of them, they're not going to make a lot of sales, but because the smaller ones, they're cheaper, you can experiment with hiring a few. And then you line up a few bloggers, YouTubers, Instagram people, whoever you think is credible in your niche that you respect. Then you set them all up and say, hey, I will need promotion on that set day. The set date that you set out, that 15 to 60 days out. For most books, a Monday or a Tuesday is a great time to launch your book. The day before the promotion, you can set the Kindle promotion price to 99 cents. This is not if you're launching, this is for if you are just doing a push to become a bestseller, because the 99-cent price point is going to get you the most sales. So as a paid book, 99 cents is the cheapest you can have. You can also launch at 99 cents when you first launch. That's okay, but some people just want to generate revenue as well, because the 99-cent price point will result obviously in some loss of revenue. So it's really a little bit of a sacrifice to boost sales to achieve that best-selling status. If you're just after the best-selling status, definitely set your price to 99 cents. If you really just want to have a good launch and generate sales and go up the SEO rankings, you don't have to do the Kindle price at 99 cents. And the paperback price would never be allowed to go that low anyway. So this is just for the Kindle. And so just to reinforce and keep in mind, if you're after the bestseller status, it's actually not about the money at that point as much. It's about the volume. And generally, once you rank higher, the money comes after people find your book through search, because your book ranks higher in Amazon SEO. And that's really sustainable too. And just keep in mind that setting your book to free, which is possible on the Kindle, doesn't get you to have the bestseller tag, but the 99-cent price point does. That's the lowest price point at which you can sell. And you want to give yourself a 12 to 24-hour period if you switch the price, because sometimes, at least when I did it, it took a little bit of time for the price change to take effect. It wasn't immediate. And if you're timing things for the right day, you want to make sure that the 99-cent price point is in place and the old price is changed. And I just want to make a quick note, because, when I launched, I did have some advantages. Like, I had a YouTube channel, Udemy students email list, mobile apps, all those things. And it can become like a psychological barrier. Well, like Alex had all these advantages and I don't. So, obviously it's not the same. But even that, it wasn't enough to generate a lot of sales for me. So I actually want you to think back of what I mentioned about, thinking of each of these as essentially hiring as a micro influencer. And you can find a lot of them on Fiverr.com, Upwork.com. These are people who promote Kindle and Amazon books specifically. There's a lot of them. A very good one that I actually hired when I did it, and he's still active. You can go to Fiverr.com/BKKnights. I don't have a business relationship with that person other than I bought their services and they were good. So I'm recommending them. And they're like a pretty popular person. If you look at their profile, you can actually go there, Fiverr.com/BKKnights. You'll see they have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of reviews, which means they have probably around 10,000 orders by now. So they're very good and they've been selling for a long time. That person is the only one that I know personally from experience that I tried and it was great. But there's probably plenty of others. Maybe not as good as this one, but there's plenty of others. And this can be one of the early things you can try. And sales from sellers like this who specialize in selling Kindle books will most likely far outdo what I did on YouTube, Udemy, and email through my email list and mobile apps and so on and so on. So that's immediately how you can bridge the gap between somebody who's established and yourself who's not so much established, in case you're not established. If you are established and you have a following, that's great too. But for me, when I had my bestseller promotion campaign, I spent about $50 on Fiverr with that BK Knight on his gigs, and I got about 10 downloads and 10 sales, which is great. And maybe today they'll be able to get many more sales, but even so, 10 sales from one source is great, because remember, we're going to tap into many sources. So a little bit from everywhere, that's fantastic. That's what we're after. And you don't have to spend thousands of dollars, but you can spend under a couple of $100s on your launch, because the bestseller title and the SEO boost pays off, because you're going to get sales anyway. You're going to make those sales on Amazon anyway from the increase in Amazon SEO and your bestseller title. So this is a relatively good investment. Is it a guarantee that it will pay off? Of course, nothing's a guarantee, but this typically is reasonable. And then after I ran out of the influencers in my promotion channels, I actually just reimbursed the remaining Facebook friends and LinkedIn connections that I did after they bought the book. Because some people, they have no interest in the book. So I said, please buy it. If you can leave a review. I'll reimburse you through PayPal. And I private messaged a lot of people, and I got more and more sales that way. This is like when I really ran out of all of my strategies. I just needed a few more sales. I was seeing like, oh, I'm number 5, number 4, number 3 in the category, but I'm like running out of steam. I have no more. I was running out of sales channels, and so I started just reaching out to individuals who are my friends, and I just reached out. I hustled. I had like 5 chat windows open at a time, and just boom, just getting one extra sale. And also, what you can do is, in a different part of this course, I have a very big list of Kindle promotion groups on Facebook, websites where you can promote Kindle discounts, different hashtags on social media you can use in your social media posts that you can also do on the very same day you launch. You can post on in all those places. And there's a very big list of them later in the course. And by the way, you can use those sites during launch, or if you're just pushing for a bestseller status. So what were my results like? So 3 of my books became bestsellers in a span of 2 days. And in a 2-day period, I had total sales of 343 books. 2 of the books actually became bestsellers within hours, because they were in very uncompetitive categories on Amazon, and they really just required like 25 to 50 sales, and boom, I got the bestseller status. Great. And that happened early, and I actually used the same strategies for posting for all 3 books. So there were 3 books that I was promoting, and basically when I was going to some website, I would just promote 3 of those books in a row in each place. So those books that got 25 to 50 downloads, they actually got a lot of downloads more later. It just wasn't necessary for the bestseller status. They achieved the bestseller status early. But then the 3rd book was a stubborn one, because it was in a more competitive category. It was in my marketing book, and it required 138 sales. And that's what I got in 2 days. And that's where I was really running out of fumes. Like I was like, oh my God, like where do I get the next sale? There's like no more places to get sales. Ran out of friends, ran out of everything, places to post. But it's funny because years later, a lot of my other books just naturally at some point hit the number 1 seller status, maybe 1 day at a time or a week at a time. And so I'm like a 7-time bestseller. I don't even count anymore. And it's silly to say, even because, if you tell people you're a 7-time bestseller, it's just a different level of expectation, because there's a weird naming here, because Amazon bestseller is something easier to achieve than like a New York Times bestseller. The term bestseller stays the same, but the Amazon versus like a New York Times bestseller, that's a world of difference. Because to become a New York Times bestseller, you need like to sell maybe 20,000 copies of your book in a short time, and you really just need a very different approach and everything. It's not for self-published people. It's usually for people who are published through traditional publishers and so on. And really, who even cares about that one spike in sales, right? Because you see, this is all kind of fabricated. It's all one launch. What really I would like for you to do, and how actually this course is mostly aligned. Yes, you do get the bestseller status, and this is the strategy for it. You just hit the number 1 in the category, and boom, you're bestseller. But really, regular sales, they're better, because I started selling on Amazon since like 2014, and I'm still selling on Amazon, and I'm still making like around the middle class income just on my Amazon sales, which is fantastic if you can make that kind of money from your books regularly year over year. How did I do it? It was through Amazon SEO. That's the key, because as long as you rank in Amazon SEO, and of course ads too, but the number one thing for me is SEO. As long as you're ranking in SEO on Amazon for good keywords, you're getting sales every day on a regular basis from people searching for the kind of book you have, finding it, buying it. And as long as they like the book and keep leaving nice reviews and so on, your book stays up there generally. Some competitors might come in. You might have to become better at selling, but generally, the regularity of sales long term, that's really going to make you a, let's say, not a bestseller, but a good seller, satisfactory seller to yourself, which is going to enable you to have a regular, reliable income from your books. That's really the goal.